What if I told you that the best guide to dealing with modern burnout wasn't some new self help book, but a 400-year-old text from a Puritan minister? I know, it sounds a little wild, but the wisdom in this thing is, well, it's shockingly relevant for our crazy, overstressed lives. I mean, have you ever felt just broken, inadequate? Like that little flame inside you is just about to flicker out. It's that feeling of being stretched so thin, right? Where all your energy is just gone and you feel like if one more thing goes wrong, you're just gonna shatter. But here's a crazy thought. What if feeling that broken wasn't a sign you're failing, but actually the first necessary step towards something way, way better? So way back in the 1630s, this Puritan minister, a guy named Richard Sibbes, wrote a book. It's called The Bruised Reed and the Smoking Flax. And, when you hear Puritan minister, you might expect something, I don't know, really harsh and judgmental, but its message is the exact opposite. It's incredibly gentle, and honestly, it's so relevant to how we live today. All right, so let's dive in and see how this nearly 400-year-old book can offer some real comfort for our modern struggles. The whole thing, the entire book, is built around this one powerful metaphor from the Bible, from the prophet Isaiah, and it describes two types of people who are right on the edge of just giving up. He calls them the bruised reed and the smoking flax. Okay, so let's get into this first part of the metaphor. What in the world does it mean to be a bruised reed? So, being a bruised reed, this isn't just, having a bad day. We're talking about when you are at your absolute lowest. And you see how your own choices, your own sin got you there. You feel the full weight of that pain. But, and this is key, there's still this tiny little glimmer of hope inside you that's seeking help. But here's the thing, Sibbes says this bruising isn't just pointless suffering, not at all. It's actually a necessary process. It's what levels our pride, right? It makes us truly value help when we get it. And it's a powerful reminder that, hey, we're all just reeds. We're fragile. We're not these big, invincible oaks we pretend to be. And he's real about it. He says, look, this is not an easy process. Our hearts are stubborn, they're unyielding. But that bruising, that's what finally softens us up enough to make room for real, lasting change. Okay, so if you're feeling like that bruised reed, where's the hope? What's the good news here? Well, the central promise of the whole book has a pretty amazing answer. The entire message of the book really hinges on this one line from Isaiah. It's a promise, and it's a pretty radical one at that. It says that the person who is most broken won't be broken further. The faintest, weakest flame won't be put out. I mean, think about that. It just completely flips our normal expectations upside down, doesn't it? Our world, our culture, tells us weakness is a flaw. You gotta crush it, hide it. Failure, you get discarded. But this promise says something totally different. It says weakness is a condition that needs to be healed. And that failure is a chance for gentle restoration. And Sibbes paints this beautiful picture of the one making the promise. It's not some harsh, angry judge. No, it's a gentle physician carefully binding up a wound. It's a caring shepherd looking out for the weakest little lamb. It's a meek king who shows up to serve, not to be served. All right, so that's the bruised reed. Now let's talk about the second part of this metaphor, the smoking flax. This one is for anyone out there who feels like they're just barely hanging on. Like your inner fire has dwindled down to just a tiny smoky flicker. What he's describing here is a state where, yeah, grace is real, your hope is real, but it's just small. It's mixed in with a whole lot of doubt and corruption. It's just like a candle wick that's putting out more smoke than actual light, right? It's that feeling that even when you try your best, everything still feels messy and imperfect. There's a perfect example of this in the Bible. It's this father who's desperate for his son to be healed, and he cries out, "Lord, I believe, but help my unbelief." It's such a raw, honest moment. He has both faith and doubt at the exact same time. That's it. That's the perfect mix of fire and smoke. So you might be wondering, okay, how can I even tell if I have this holy fire, especially if it's just smoking? Well, Sibbes actually gives us a little checklist. He says, ask yourself, is there something in you that fights against your worst impulses? Does it produce any warmth at all, any love or affection? Does it make your heart just a little more teachable, more pliable? And does it, even faintly, point your soul upwards towards God? If the answer is yes to any of those, he says the fire is there, even if it's just a spark. This whole idea that even the smallest smoldering spark is cherished is so incredibly comforting, isn't it? But why? Why has this idea lasted for 400 years? What's the theological foundation for this kind of radical gentleness? Well, Sibbs breaks it down using this powerful contrast between two, let's call them covenants or contracts. On one hand, you have the covenant of works. Think of this like a contract that demands absolute perfection. One slip up and you're out. It breaks the bruised. But then there's the covenant of grace. This one is totally different. It accepts sincere, imperfect effort. It doesn't break the bruised, it blesses and heals them. And get this, it actually gives you the strength you need to fulfill it. And that's why this has endured for something like 400 years. It's because it speaks to a fundamental truth about being human. We are all weak, we are all imperfect. And this message completely reframes that weakness. It's not a reason to be rejected, it's the very thing that qualifies you for compassion. And really, that's the heart of it all. It's not about the measure of your grace. It's not about how strong your faith is or how powerful your will is. It's about the truth of it. The simple fact that a spark exists. Because a single spark, no matter how tiny, is still fire. Sibbs leaves us with this one last really powerful thought. He says, it is better to go bruised to heaven than sound to hell. Think about that. The goal isn't to get through life totally unscarred and perfect. The goal is just to arrive. It's so much better to limp your way toward healing, all bruised and smoking, than it is to walk with confidence in the totally wrong direction. So I'll just leave you with this question to chew on. In a world that is constantly demanding perfection from us, what would it actually mean to see our own weakness, our own brokenness, not as a liability we have to hide, but as the very thing that qualifies us for gentle care?